Good morning, Briana. So first and foremost, I guess this morning, no, it's 12:25 this afternoon, but you are in Paris, so your time is totally different. Might be deeper evening actually. So good evening. So let me just start by saying I have to show you my screen because I was already doing my own personal video before you officially booked this one with me. The video that I was sitting through was Reiki to help remove blocks to success and achieving goals. You literally just hired me for a session, and I'm going to run this back so that it's running through the whole video and the energy is still going. But you just booked me for a session to assist you with removing the blocks in your relationship with your baby boy as you are currently on vacation. I always like to tap in when I know the details and just touch base on what I'm aware of first. Let me turn it down a little bit. What I am logically aware of, and then we're going to see what comes through psychically. You picked the perfect day to choose the session. I've been in a very deep, dark space, but like in a good way of using your shadow to heal you, using your shadow or your dark moments or the difficulties in life to show you where you're not free, where you are straying away from what you want for yourself. And in this case, like you could have a light energy where you're doing all successfully in life, everything you want to, but there's a part of you that feels like I'm successful in something that's not it. You know what I mean? So in the case of what we're going through here, uh, it's like child is in a space where they're supposed to be happy, but there is something that is off in their timeline, the vibration that he's at. So, ooh, a beautiful way to explain this, right? We all have a storyline, top to bottom. The best and the worst of that storyline is seen through your vibration. So if you're somebody who resonates before or below 400, 400 is the ability to reason, just to make sense of what's happening to you. You're more likely to be a person who drops into victimhood because you don't understand the reasoning behind everything. Like bad stuff just happens to you all the time, but you don't know it's because you are resonating with the vibration of fear or grief or sadness or whatever emotion is still stagnant there. So every time you go somewhere, your experience or your storyline will reinforce the thoughts or the darkness that's in you, right? Because that's where you're hanging out on the scale. Now, if you're somebody who has overcome those difficulties or was able to reason and make sense, like, oh, my mom didn't beat me because she was just like out of her mind. She did it because that's what she was taught, and the people beat her before her, and that all came from slavery. But it's the ability to understand and connect the dots that allowed the second timeline version to move into an energy of 700, which is love. This person wakes up and they love everything every day, which would change what they're seeing as they go along in their storyline. They would be seeing, oh my goodness, look at this thing I've been looking for. Who knew I would find it, right? Because life is showing them love everywhere they go, as opposed to the other person who is seeing what is missing everywhere they go. So this session is about the ramifications of changing the family dialogue or the family dynamic. That's it. Right? You are recently divorced. You still have custody of your baby boy, but he's not exactly happy about that. So I am going to be digging deep in today because I've been playing around with shadow stuff. Literally, I have my in your shadows card, right? And the hidden truth, because these are statements that the shadow would speak, or that's how I try to do when I pull them, because they're like little statement cards, right? So I'm like, hey, what does your shadow want to tell you? What does my shadow want to tell me and stuff like that? Then I have this one, my new shadow work deck, literally. I got my dark mirror, my repair, evolve and grow, sacred self-care, because I can't just give you the issue without the remedy. And then this just general feeling card. This will let emotions go through. And this is where I'm actually going to start you for this session. I thought I was going to start with the chart, but we'll get into the chart afterwards to see how it lines up with everything that comes through the record and just what I feel organically. Now that I have the logic part out there, I can get out of my head, get out of Aisha, and allow myself to be a conduit for what needs to come through for you today. So let's get started with how's baby boy feeling? Because it could look like anger and it could be grief. Like it could be any number of things. Very rarely are things what they appear to be. So, how is baby boy feeling right now? What are the main emotions running through him? Well, surprise, surprise, mama. So underneath the facade of what you're seeing, there's some growth going on. But it still feels to me like this growth, and let me show you the card, right? Growth. It feels like his seed for growth is still in the dark. Whatever you have been showing him inside during this trip, it is building an idea of what he wants in his future for himself. So he might be looking at it like, I wish dad was here, right? As his attitude. But there's a part in here that he probably won't even acknowledge because it feels like he's buckled down and stubbornness, right? But it's a seed planted. Like, oh, that's sort of cool. I guess that's great. Like, you know what I mean? Because confidence is also underneath. It feels like the pedestal that you are putting him on, like the amount of attention and positive reinforcement. Maybe you speak to him a lot. That is within the seed. That is like the manure. It could be the manure because you're in the middle of a shit storm, if you will, going through a lot, but you're still pushing through. You are transmuting your sadness about this situation and everything through making sure your baby is okay. So you're pushing a little extra to make your darkness sunshine, right? That is the energy or the manure that is creating a whole different human inside. And so what I'm sensing is like a man who wants to do this for himself one day. Like it's not going to be right there out in the open because he's so young, but there's something about this trip that's going to be in his head. Like, yo, when I grow up, I want to go on trips like this all the time. So balance. Trust and faith. I just needed you to see that there are no negative emotions that are building. It's like, it's the craziest thing because it's a layer that's developing so that the shell that he's wearing right now, he will outgrow. So something about this trip is pretty much letting him know that it's just going to be okay. Like this is one of the best things he's did in his life, probably better than some of the things y'all have did before. So there's definitely a part of him that's like, dang, this is cool, but I feel like I'm a treacherous person. I'm supposed to be mad. So you might be getting some hot and cold from him over there, going between, oh my God, this is amazing. Like a Kanye moment during your trip. But know that what you're doing is planting or helping the seed that was already planted inside for him to become a particular type of person. Your child is going to be a worker, but it's going to be a worker because they want certain things for themselves. And the events or activities that you start to do with him as you are making up for the sadness you feel about the family dynamic are the basis for what's going to make him aspire for that better life for himself. Now, his love life, that's a whole nother thing we're not getting into. Okay, just know that working hard for what he wants to have good things and vacations and to be able to enjoy himself is going to now become a beacon for him going forward. So what is he repressing? I'm going to the dark mirror for this one. What is he repressing at this time? Because it's the repressed self versus what was budding, right? So you can think of this like plants and weeds. You can be planting a rose garden, but there's a weed in there that you didn't notice, and like it's slowly trying to wrap around and kill your roses. That is what I'm pulling for. What is the energy that is trying to, that shell I was talking about, what is trying to grow along with the good thing that you were planting in there? And it is, damn. Well, he's learning how to fake it. First and foremost, okay? To put his feelings aside. So this needs to be fixed. Glad we're having this conversation, ma'am. So he's learning to sacrifice how he actually feels or how he feels, because this is the show we're talking about. Right now, his heart is sort of numb. That's what he's actually feeling. Keep in mind, the first part was like the seed is being planted. He's not even aware that those feelings are in there because he is disconnected from them because of this fake heart thing. It really does feel like fighting a good time, feeling bad for having a good time. Like he must sacrifice his happiness going forward in order to not be a traitor. So we got sacrifice and atonement. He's sacrificing his happiness and he feels like now the next time he sees his father or something, he can say, yeah, we went somewhere, but I didn't have fun because she should have not left. We should have been together. So it's a separation from his body. He is splitting himself into two. See, that's what we don't want in the rose garden. We don't want the weeds living amongst the roses and then they're just in this weird tandem dance of the roses dying almost and then the weeds backing off so it can come back to life so they can like eat off of it again. Because this is parasitic energy. Like this would allow uh, definitely addictions to find their way in. Definitely therapy is going to be handy here. And I'm saying that because, and there goes the parasite. When we feel dark and we start having dark, repetitive thoughts about stuff, it opens us energetically for something to come and attach, to start feeding those negative things so that that darker energy, that darker shell grows more than the light, that seed of light we were discussing. But there's something that maybe you haven't told him the full scope of your situation or why you had to leave, or he is being kept in a child's place, right? But because of that, he started making lies up in his head or untruths or half truths about the scenario. And that's where the basis of the anger is coming from. Like you just did this for no reason, just uprooted his life. And his dad's just over there like alone now because you made a decision. This is not what dad wanted. So his idea of being 10 toes down or being dedicated or still showing honor to his father is to wear this mask, just all because he doesn't know the adult details of why or understand, as a child, because the child's not going to understand. They don't care if you're like, it's because you're unhappy. It's like, can't you just do what y'all did before to get happy and fix it? Like, that's how children carry it. They don't understand the, hey, I was slowly dying inside, like your father was the weed to my plant. No, they don't get that. So what would, oh, I had waves in the background. What would, excuse me, what would his shadow like to express? What would his shadow like to express? Oh, from the hidden oracle too. What would his shadow like to express? There's just so much confusion. Oh my goodness. I've never done a reading like this. But like this is somebody's baby. So I'm really sensitive about kids and kids feeling like any type of sadness that they can't put their finger on, because that's what this is. So the first one, my life is not as together as it seems. Right. And I'm gonna tell you what they actually mean. I just need to read them to you. I replay our conversations over and over. I hid who I really am from you. And then the top one, I want to tell you so much. Right. So what I'm sensing from this is a child that can't, like the confusion, can't make sense of something. So they keep rethinking about what you said, trying to say, like, I still don't get it. And not being able to express that. That's what I want to tell you so much. And I hide who I really am from you. Because like you answered as best you could, and he could tell when the subject comes up that it's difficult to discuss, or one of you, I guess it's probably your former spouse, doesn't want to discuss it at all. It's just like none of the answers are good enough for him to feel better about how everything in his life has changed. So facing inner demons. Don't be afraid of the darkness. There's a light nearby. Transform and integrate. So whether it's through you or a therapist, he's going to need to be able to talk about these darker feelings. I know you want to protect your child, but please understand you are dealing with an Aquarius child. Their mind is already like 10 steps ahead of you in the first place. You cannot just tell an Aquarius child, hey, we don't get along anymore. We're not going to live together. They're going to make up a million reasons why somehow this goes back to something they could have done differently because they are trying to solve equations all the time. You just gave them 1 + -1 = 0, and they can't see how that is going through. So they're going to continue to work that math column, and that is just feeding the beast, if you will. So respecting and honoring your limits sets you free. Sacred boundaries, assertiveness, and self-care. This makes me feel like therapy because there are some things that you won't feel comfortable asking. Just the same way I was saying that it seems like he asks you questions, but he doesn't get the answers that he wants fully, but he doesn't want to keep digging into it to be like offensive, or he can feel how sad it makes one or both of you guys, but he's not getting the answers he needs. But he needs to be able to express the upset and the questions. He needs a space to fully like feel this that is safe, and he knows nobody is being hurt by what he's saying. So therapy, absolutely. Because breaking chains is the next one, right? And this one says, the only way to overcome blocks is to confront them. Self-limiting beliefs. And the one that really closes it for me, lack of awareness. He doesn't understand. He doesn't know the recipe. You have a child that is meant to be a little bit more mature than others, but he can understand logic. So if you were to, and you can consult with the therapist after they have a session with him just to see how he is like emotionally, because I have not talked to him one-on-one, but it just feels like this is a little man. And if you can say in the most eloquent, but maybe raw emotionally, like the reason why this had to be done, so you can understand, man, my baby, that if there ever comes in a time in your life where you feel like this, or you notice A, B, C, or D happening, that you have the strength to make this very difficult decision too. But he needs something that he can say, oh, it's not 1 - 1 = 0. It's 1 + 1 = 2. This is what happens when you do this actions. There are consequences for actions. And people on the outside might not see the things that were being done, but it affects the individual. He needs to understand missed chances, unseen risks, seek facts and stay open-minded, insight, opportunity. He wants a chance to understand. He does not want to live in confusion. It feels like y'all were a group and now suddenly he's outside the group and there are whispers and stuff. And he just feels like, is it crazy? It feels like backstabbed. Like, didn't see this comment. Like, wow, y'all just really did this without me. I thought we were like, cool. So let's get to how we can heal this, because this is a difficult one. So repair, evolve, grow. What could be done from mama's perspective in order to help the healing here? Because we want him to have a beautiful rose garden, to be a hardworking man that happens to understand women's feelings and such, because his parents went through a divorce and his mom was able to explain exactly what went wrong on both ends. So he has a higher level understanding of relationships and dynamics between men and women. And he's decided that, hey, I'm just going to focus on my career and making sure I'm good, because I never want to be in a position where who I am as a person affects my mate. And that's just what it feels like the thought process will grow into over time. I need to be a certain type of strong man so that I never burden my woman and make her want to leave me. Whatever that becomes. Every action has a consequence, but he will be a man who wants to go to Paris, who wants to be able to take the person he's with to do things, but he won't ever want to settle down and start a family until he's 100% sure, because he knows the feeling of having that unit taken away. So we're talking about his future grown man self now. So self-care balance. He needs a new activity that's just for him. One possibly where you don't even have to sit with him the whole time. Because he's having a hard time letting go, still in denial. Like, this false narrative popped up again, right? There's still a lie. There's still a whole truth or something that is being held back from him that is not making this make sense to him. Y'all are trying to teach him subtraction, and he's understanding this is division. So, nature therapy, grounded. When I said he needs an art or something outside of himself or activity, my first thought was actually soccer. And I've never had soccer go past me, but it might be something to release the rage. But he needs something that he can do for himself physically, but also something like painting, I love blowing bubbles. Like I'm about to embark on the cessation. Is that what it's called when you quit smoking journey again? But I forgot that the last time I had bubbles. Like maybe it's an oral fixation. I don't know. Everything comes from something somewhere, which is why we're having this lovely chat about your child now. And building good habits to replace what could become addictions is like hitting it off at the head. The difference between the child that says, I started drinking at 13 versus the child that said, hey, I got into football at 13 and it just really changed my life is giving somebody an outlet. That child, those two examples could have went through the exact same thing, but their storyline went different based upon the healing energy that was put into it, right? So your soul loves to be one and connect with nature. This could even be a swimmer child, but soccer just made me feel like he would be outside all the time. So he just needs activities for him to help him build and feel secure in himself, because everything about the rest of this situation feels shady. Like both of y'all are shady to him. This denial, this is a false narrative. This is letting go or resistance to letting go. There are stages of grief, is what I'm getting, like anger, denial, regret. Like there's a cycle to it, but he's seeking the closure that comes from the why and the resolution. The resolution is great closure. Seeing like, dang, my mom smiles every day now, and my dad is starting to do different stuff with his life. So I don't even know your situation, but that's just like what's coming through. Like my dad seems to be more productive in his life, and my mom smiles a lot more now. We have way more fun. Like that'll come along in time, but he just needs the pieces to understand why right now everything is roots as far as he's concerned. So what does he need for self-care? What does he need for self-care? That's more nature. Like he needs to lay outside on the grass with you in a blanket and just look at the stars. Maybe he can get into the stars. I mean, he is an Aquarius. They are naturally drawn to sciences of different types. So more astronomy than astrology. Like, hey, there's the Big Dipper. Maybe even getting a book on the stars after you look at them as a memento. Mama, this one feels for you. Feels like it is for you. This says make an altar, right? But you could make a healing altar. I literally just made or shared info on a jar, and I'm also doing jars for my kids. But I put protection over them. I put healing over them, growth, blossoming. But you put them on your altar, their essence on your altar, and you just light a candle on it so that you're always sending light, especially during a time like this. Uh, you can assist with watering the seed throughout the process in the physical and in the spiritual, because this is a soul thing. This is a soul ripping, and I'm going to look at that in the chart I'm getting. Didn't I say that's an artist? And if you do not know what art, if it ain't painting, take him to all the classes. Like, hey, baby, today you're going to a pottery class. Like, his life is about to be busy because he's secretly, because you're not telling him why you're doing all these things, but it's to find an outlet for the parts of him that are going to go through so many different phases over the years as you develop new relationships and your ex-spouse develops new relationships. If he gets other siblings, like he needs something that he can always go through or go to. That is something he can build on for the future to lead him where he wants to go. So sound healing popped on here. And that's funny because that's full circle. I started this video off explaining to you. I was listening to a Reiki sound healing video. That is something you could put on while you're cooking dinner, while y'all are eating dinner together, because it goes through the soul. It's electromagnetic. It is hitting the light body where all these past patterns are held in. What he's going through in this life is a ripple of what he dealt with in past lives, the things that y'all still had to heal in this lifetime. Say in another lifetime, the same scenario happened for you guys, but he didn't get the outlets. Say his life didn't end how he wanted it to the last time. So he would come back again and want to change some things. I believe that's why he is a Scorpio rising. He wants to change from this Scorpio heavier energy, right, to this Sagittarius energy, learning from his own experience as he is out in the world with other people. He is driven by learning. And this trip really did change his life because that's 3 or more hours away from his original home. Anytime he steps into a foreign land is when he really blossoms. That's why his North Node, the place he's headed in life, is in a house ruled by Sagittarius, so foreign land. He will not live where you were or where you birthed him. This is a traveler, right? This is also a husband. Jupiter in first means the husband is on their sleeve. It's what he will wear as a binding. That's probably also why this is so touchy for him, because it's like literally optimizing his mind. Look, his Mercury is at the 22nd degree in the sign of Aquarius. Monkey see, monkey do. So his ideas on a spouse or a husband are like based on what he sees. But his sun is at the 25th degree of self. This is a final exam for who he becomes. Right next to that is his wife asteroid. So when he gets married, you see it's in his fourth house of home and family, right? Because in this life, his value is set based upon family. So everything I said about one day, he will settle down, but he will make sure he's ready to settle down. He'll make sure he's a certain type of man because he feels like the provider thing might have made a difference. But it's like he's fixing what he saw, what he learned. And I'm saying that because Uranus, which is the big radical change, and he has it in Aries, the sign of self, is affecting the sun and the partner that he picks, which is wild. He's going to take his time to pick a partner, but once he's in there, like he's like set. That's why this whole situation is like foundational for his chart. He's going to go somewhere one day in a foreign land. He might even marry a foreigner just because like that's the energy coming off of him. But he'll settle more than likely when he's older. And by older, I mean like after 30. Just because he wants to move through relationships slow and steady going forth because of this. Most of his life is about cultivating himself and his purpose within the family dynamic. So when you have a lot of planets down here on your chart, it's interpersonal, right? This is you versus yourself, you and your values, you and the way your mind works, you and your family, like the one you came from and the one that you built, you and your inner child and the children that you have. And this is you and your daily life and the people that you come across in your daily life. Note how there are not many planets up here. This is things that are out in the world, like you and your spouse, you and your trauma, you and higher education, your legacy in the world, the way you connect with other people in the collective, your spiritual soul in the collective, right? Nothing is really up there except for the fact that he is going to take everything that he is to a foreign land, to higher education. He might even go to college in another country based on this. But he is meant to be stepping into a position of leadership in his household. Everything that he's going through right now and the tone that you are setting is in order for him to fix a past life ripple with his family where he was a bad husband. Bottom line, everything happens for a reason. And in this life, there are some things he needed to know and see so that he won't make the mistake he made last time, because everything that he picked for his storyline in this life is to make sure that when he comes across that woman, he will not drop the ball and he can keep the family that he lost and made his whole life sad, even though he had money last time. So I love how this just came full circle. And now I understand him being a traveling businessman and why that was so important to him, because that's what he achieved before he got the spouse last time. But he just never got to really be good at anything but making money. His emotional thing was off. So him in this life, spending more time with his mom and understanding from a female's perspective will change everything. So have a great day.